Welcome to the Greater Fayetteville Chamber State of the Community Luncheon. Very happy to have you all with us today. Looking around the room, there's some awesome people in this room today, so take the time, interact with one another, certainly intermix and talk about the great things going on in our community. That's what today's all about. We're going to hear from some great community leaders, not only from our county and our city, but also from Spring Lake and from Fort Bragg as well, amongst others. So it's going to be a great day to kind of celebrate all the great things going on in Cumberland County and our region in general as a whole. So thank you all for being here. Before we get started, I did want to recognize those in the room today. First, Mayor Nat Robertson, our Fayetteville City Council members, Mayor Pro Tem Mitch Colvin, Councilman Jim Arp, Councilman Bill Crisp, Councilman Kirk Deviere, Councilman Bobby Hurst, Councilwoman Kathy Jensen, and Councilman Larry Wright. I also wanted to welcome City Manager Doug Hewitt. So thank you all for being here today. Appreciate you being here in support. I also want to recognize the Cumberland County Commissioners, Chairman Commissioner Glenn Adams, Commissioner Michael Boos, Commissioner Jeanette Council, Commissioner Charles Evans, Commissioner Marshall Faircloth, and Commissioner Jimmy Keefe. Thank you all for being here today, and also a special recognition to County Manager Amy Cannon. Thank you all for your support. I'm going to run down another little list of people here that I have to recognize as in the room, and thank you all for your support, so bear with me for a moment. Cumberland County Schools, Tim Kinlaw is here with us today. I saw Tim walking around. Tim, thank you for being here today. Fayetteville Technical Community College President, Dr. Larry Keene. Larry, thank you for being here with us today. State Representative Billy Richardson. Major General Rodney Anderson. Hope Mills Chamber of Commerce President Jan Spell. The Board of Education Chair Greg West. The Fayetteville PWC CEO Dave Trago. A representative from Congressman Hudson's office, Chris Johnson. A representative from Congressman Pittenger's office, Jake Cashwell. The Spring Lake Chamber of Commerce President Deborah Clyde. And certainly I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize the Greater Fayetteville Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. So if you're all in the room today, anyone who's in the room from the board, if you could please stand up, I'd appreciate that. Thank you all for your time and support through all of the chamber endeavors. Also, there are some Greater Fayetteville Chamber past chairs in the room today. If you all could stand up. Kitty Joe, thank you over there. Kirk, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate all of your work and support. And then anyone who is a chamber ambassador or serves on a chamber committee, if you could stand to be recognized as well. Well, as you can see by the people surrounding you today, there are some movers and shakers in our community represented here today. Today's an opportunity to hear from them, hear from their respective regions and what they would like to discuss with you about the future of the community. Again, thank you for taking the time to be with us today. And also I want to take the time to recognize two people who are here with us today, and Spectre Venue Management, who is who I represent. So Trent Merritt is our Regional Vice President, and Mike Scanlon is our Senior Vice President for Arenas and Stadiums. So thank you guys for joining us today. We certainly have a vested interest in this community just like anybody else, and we're happy that these two guys took the time to travel to Fayetteville and learn what's going on in our community. So thank you guys. Without further ado, I'll ask everyone to rise for the national anthem. All right, at this time, I'm going to introduce to you Pastor Michael Fletcher. He is with Manna Church, and he is also the newest of our Greater Fayetteville Chamber Board of Directors. Michael, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Wow, what an honor. I'm not used to a microphone that high. What an honor it is to be in this room. Thank you so much for the opportunity to pray. So why don't we just bow our heads? Let's say a word of prayer. Father, Lord, in the Old Testament, you told your people to pray for the city and for the region where they found themselves living, because when they prospered, so you would prosper. Father, we lift up the Fayetteville, Cumberland County area, Fort Bragg area, and thank you that you've called us to live here. Our lives are here, our roots are here, and we pray for this area that you would cause it to prosper so that we would prosper. Lord, thank you. We do that now. We pray for this city, this region to prosper, that you would cause it to grow, that our test scores would be higher, that our crime rate would be lower, that businesses would come here, that our family income would increase in this city, in this region, that you would prosper it, that we would prosper. We also bless the food. In Jesus' name, amen.
All right, you can all be seated. Thank you. Okay, so the next thing on our agenda for today is actually lunch. So Centerplate's going to be delivering your meals here very shortly. Certainly take the time to enjoy your salads and everything else in front of you at the moment. Don't feel obligated to not eat during this meeting. We expect you to eat. It is a lunch meeting. And again, I want to just say thank you for being here today and introduce to you, for a brief moment, Christine Michaels, the President and CEO of the Greater Fayetteville Chamber.
My goodness. There we go. Thank you so much, Jim. And I would just like to briefly thank, and go ahead and please partake, but we want to thank the people that helped make this event possible today. And that, of course, is our platinum sponsors, H&H Homes. I saw Ralph out there. Where are you? Wave. Right in front of me, and Highland Paving as well. Thank them. Our gold sponsors, the Crown. Jim is our chairman of the board, and we appreciate all he does for us. PwC, I know you're out there as well. CenturyLink, thank you guys very much. The insurance guy, Jerome, thank you. Fayetteville Tech, Up and Coming Weekly, and Array Magazine. We thank you all for what you've done to help make this possible. And our Brown sponsors, First Health of the Carolinas, Bragg Mutual Federal Credit Union, and Cape Fear Partners. I know they're all with us today. And we also want to recognize we do have some members of our school board here with us today. So thank you all. And obviously I would be remiss if we didn't also thank our staff who has worked very hard to put this together. So can my staff please just raise your hands? Let folks know where you are. Thank you. Enjoy your lunch. We'll be back with you shortly. We're going to go ahead and get started, and our first presenter to lead things off is our very own Glenn Adams, the chair of our Cumberland County Board of Commissioners. A better hand than that, come on.
Just for that, they told me I had 7 minutes, but I'm going to take the rest of the afternoon to be able to do this. Good afternoon. This is a wonderful and eventful day in Cumberland County. I started off at 8 o'clock this morning. The lawyers in Fayetteville, North Carolina, took a picture on the front of the courthouse, so we started at 8. At 9 o'clock, we had a dedication of our Cumberland County Courthouse, renaming it in honor of Judge E. Morris Braswell. I followed that at about 10:15 with the 240th anniversary celebration of the Superior Court. And so then I come out here with you all just to kind of tell you all the other things that are happening here in the county. So you can see it is an eventful day. You know, all the accomplishments by the county this year are a result of 7 people working together. And those 7 people, I'm going to put them up here on the screen for you. That's me right there, of course. You know, got that. Vice Chairman Charles Evans, Commissioner Michael Booth, Commissioner Jeanette Council, Commissioner Marshall Fairclough, Commissioner Jimmy Keefe, and Commissioner Larry Lancaster, because some folk don't necessarily know them as they labor among us. So I wanted everybody to be able to know who they were. And I want to especially thank today our county manager, I think Amy Cannon's here, for doing an excellent job with our budget for this year and being proactive for years to come. As you know, that the county raised your taxes this year. Everybody wasn't necessarily happy with that, but I will tell you that it's not necessarily that the commissioners were exactly happy to do it, but they understand their duty and the duty to this community. But I want to tell you, as chairman, I've had the opportunity of celebrating new beginnings, expansions, collaborations, and partnerships, and I'm excited about the progress we are seeing in our community. I'm just going to let it scroll. I think he's going to let it scroll some of the ribbon cuttings that I've done. You can see that as I speak. But the one thing I want you to know, and I tell everybody this, and I've had a lot of people have a conversation, do not believe everything that you hear or read in the media. Because if you did that, you would think that constantly that the county commissioners are at odds with the city of Fayetteville, that they're at odds with Hope Mills or Spring Lake or Wade or Falcon. But I will tell you this, and I will stand by it as I stand here, that there are disagreements. Understand that each one of those municipalities have a fiduciary duty to the citizens of their city. And the county commissioners have a fiduciary duty to this county. That doesn't always mesh in terms of what we do, but understand this, and I tell everybody this, from the school board to the city elected official to the county elected officials, we all have one goal in mind, and that is to make this the best place to live, work, and play every single day. So, thank you so much. So today, the theme of my message today is partnerships. And I'll just mention a couple of a new initiative and recent launches that the county has. Our public health department is collaborating with Stedman Wade Health Services Incorporated to provide adult primary care services and dentistry for both adults and children at the health department starting in October. The health department was awarded a $148,000 grant from the Office of Rural Health that will fund Stedman Wade coming in to be able to do that. Even more exciting, and this is about the partnership, once the grant ends, Stedman Wade Health Services plans to continue offering services at the health department on a full-time basis beginning January 1, 2018 with no cost to the county. These are examples of the public-private partnerships that have the potential to transform our local healthcare system by assisting with jail diversion, increasing public outreach, alleviating congested emergency rooms, and providing viable opportunities for healthcare. The need is great, and we are ready to meet it. But then there's another healthcare program that also has the potential to change our community. Fayetteville Valley Residency Program in collaboration with Campbell University kicked off its first class in August with 32 residents. The commissioners serve as hospital trustees, and we're excited about this program that will train doctors right here in the region with the hope that they stay and practice here. The health system has residency program in internal medicine, general surgery, emergency medicine, obstetrician and gynecology, as well as the traditional rotating internships. We want to thank Campbell University and Fayetteville Valley for bringing this. This project, this program, is projected to bring $300 million to our area over the next 10 years by creating jobs and bringing residents and instructors here. Well, then we hope these medical residents will stay here in Cumberland County and take in a few hockey games this fall. Earlier this year, we were at risk of losing our hockey team franchise at the Crown Complex. But the county, again in partnership with the Fayetteville Area Convention and Visitors Bureau and the Tourism and Development Authority, didn't let that happen. In August, the new owners of our hockey team rebranded the franchise as the Fayetteville Marksmen, and they will kick off their season this fall. Back in March, Jim Grantham requested on behalf of the Civic Center Commission and the Spectra Venue Management $75,000 in tourism development fundings over 3 years to support institutional marketing of our 3 tenants at the Crown. Again, partnership. In addition to hockey, we have the Cape Fear Heroes indoor arena football team and the Rogue Roller Derby. The county has also received financing approval for $2.75 million that will be used to replace the ice floor and the LED ribbon lighting around the Coliseum and install a modern center-hung scoreboard. These improvements are expected by the end of this year. These tenants provide entertainment for our community and are amenities businesses look for when they're considering where to locate. And I want to mention, as we talk about this and talk about partnerships, that the city and county are partnering to bring a consolidated 911 center and baseball to this community. You read in the paper that there are big disagreements. I will tell everybody, if you live in a house, if you have a wife, you got children, you got a husband, there are disagreements. But that doesn't mean that at the end of the day that it doesn't happen and the goal's not met. And that's what's going to happen between the city and the county considering 911 and baseball. So, in addition to the ribbon cuttings and groundbreaking this past year, there's also been challenges, starting with Hurricane Matthew and continuing with the interbasin transfer of water in the Cape Fear River. Those challenges, you know, we withstood Hurricane Matthew. That was the first challenge. But the even greater challenge, and I think Commissioner Jimmy Keefe talked about it when we were going through the storm, the greater challenge was what was going to happen after the storm to our residents to be able to make sure that they are brought back as much as whole as they can. That's a challenge. That challenge is continuing. The interbasin transfer of water. And what I've done is I was at the table with those that are going to come after me, and I told them I wouldn't steal their thunder, so I'm not going to talk with the mayor in terms of his economic development. I'm not going to talk with the mayor of Hope Mills about the solar farms that we had, or Robert Van Giens with all the economic development that's going on in this table. But I did want you to know that the Cape Fear River is a valuable asset to this community. And if we know anything, years ago, this community ended up in a court fight with Cary and Raleigh over the transfer of water out of the Cape Fear River. Well, what does that mean? That means if the flow of water in this Cape Fear River, which is our drinking water, which is our lifeline, is allowed to be transferred out of this basin, it slows down the water in the Cape Fear River. And if you go down to the people in Wilmington, they will tell you about the algae blooms they already have, which is polluting the Cape Fear River. And so I want to thank PwC, and I see PwC over here. I want to thank PwC and Mick Nolan for taking the lead on this and having filed a lawsuit, because Cary and Raleigh want to take the water out of the Cape Fear River and then put it back in the Neuse River. And we all understand what that means. If you've been to Raleigh and you listen and you talk about the businesses that are coming to Raleigh and you talk about the economic development, water is the lifeblood. The reason they want it in the Neuse is to be able to continue that without respect to those in the lower part of this region. Southeastern North Carolina and northeastern North Carolina are taking a hit on economic development. And if we don't understand and we don't do this fight, we will forever be the stepchildren in North Carolina. And this board, this Cumberland County Board of Commissioners, will not let that happen for this community and for the rest of southeastern North Carolina. So, I am so proud of how this community came together in the days following Hurricane Matthew. Recovery efforts are ongoing and will continue for many years. And programs such as the Community Development Block Grant, disaster recovery are still being rolled out to assist eligible. I see you right there. I'm finna sit down. That's what happens when you're first, though. I saw her when she came over there. But you should have never given a lawyer a mic to start with. That was the first mistake. We know there are still unmet needs in our community, and that's where the Cumberland Disaster Recovery Coalition is doing that. We understand that we have to worry about our workforce development, But I'm going to sit down and say this. This is the last thing I will tell you. Whatever the storm, weather-related, economic, or social, this is a resilient community. Together, we can increase our resilience and improve the lives of all of our citizens. We are ready, we are strong, and we are moving forward. Thank you.
Well, and actually, Glenn's remarks were the perfect lead-in to remind you that tomorrow our Chairman's Coffee Club is out at Cross Creek Mall. They are our sponsor, and our speaker is Chuck Norris, not of martial arts fame, but of soon-to-be hockey fame. And he is one of the owners of the Fayetteville Marksmen. They will be talking about the team, what it's going to be bringing to the area. And I've heard rumors that the mascot will be joining us, and we're going to have a good time with that. 7:30 tomorrow morning out at Cross Creek Mall. And so now we are going to hear a little bit about what the city is working on, what some of their challenges may be. If I can go ahead and bring up our mayor, if he is, oh my gosh. See, now I don't have good peripheral vision like Glenn does. Mayor Not Robertson, thank you.
Thanks. What an honor to be here with you again. And I'd like to make a comment in reference to the chairman's comments. I think he was right on spot. We as a body and individually as well as collectively get along fine, but we are all tasked with different scopes of doing business. And we are each protective of our own jurisdiction and therefore not always compatible. But we're always friendly and respectful, and I certainly appreciate that. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to start by recognizing my fellow council members that are here. If you would please stand. Councilmember Jensen, Colvin, Hurst, Wright, and Deviere. Thank you all. Thank you for your service to this community, and let me point out this is Councilmember Hurst's last term, so Bobby, thank you for your service in this community over the years. In just the past, let me start by saying this, because it's not in my speech. But the state of the city is strong. The state of the city is very strong. In just the past 4 years, Fayetteville is closing the gap on other communities as we compete for the same economic expansion dollar, quality job projects, and quality of life issues. We're changing the culture within City Hall. We're raising the expectations for our customer service, responsiveness, and engagement with our residents. And we're looking at data-driven project management and innovative solutions to the old basic city services that we provide. And it's working. The real estate market is realizing it, and we're starting to swing to be a seller's market, not a buyer's market. Let me ask Chief Hawkins to please stand up. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've not yet met her, this is Chief Gina Hawkins. Welcome, Chief. She comes to us from Georgia and has already hit the ground running. We're proud to have you here as our chief. Thank you. We've reduced property crime in the city of Fayetteville by almost 24%. We've embraced technology and the desire to be on the cutting edge of new policing techniques. In fact, this Fayetteville Police Department has been recognized over the past couple of years by the White House multiple times for our integration of the 21st century policing methods. Thank you very much. Later today, Robert Van Gien, our CEO of the Fayetteville Chamber, Fayetteville Cumberland County Economic Development Corporation, along with commercial broker Patrick Murray, I saw Patrick in here earlier, will have an announcement. And they're going to announce another deal that they have struck. This time welcoming a Virginia company employing about 300 to 400 permanent part-time jobs that are expanding here to Fayetteville. I know for Fayetteville to be competitive, we must continue to reduce the crime rate. We must continue to recruit businesses and industry into Fayetteville. And we have to continue to provide residents, our children, and our seniors the amenities that they deserve for living here in the city of Fayetteville. You have approved a $35 million parks bond, and we're starting to build those projects. We've opened our first splash pad at the Kiwanis Rec Center, 6 more to go. With that passage of the first ever parks bond, we have a fire department with an ISO 1 rating, a $100 million public-private partnership with a new baseball stadium downtown. We've built almost 10 miles worth of sidewalks in the past 14 months. We've expanded bus routes, and we have a new $25 million expansion to the Fayetteville Airport coming. Fayetteville has been recognized this past year as the #1 city in North Carolina and 8th in the country for our physical health. Yes, absolutely. We're enhancing the lives in a responsible way for all of our citizens, young and old, Democrat, Republican, native or transplant, rich or poor. In closing, I'd like to encourage each of you that live within the city limits to give back to your community, give back to your city. Volunteer for one of our boards and commissions. You can do that on the city's website online. Registration forms are there, or I think there may even be a link, or if there's not, there will be in just a few minutes, on our Facebook page, so you'll be able to do it on Facebook page. But please give back to the community. I'd also like to take just another minute for, where's Christine, for another shameless plug. That is to promote the Mayor's Small Business of the Month Award. In conjunction with the Chamber of Commerce, I'm proud to have started this recognition of small, local businesses who demonstrate excellence in customer service, innovative business ideas, outstanding community service, and fair business practices. Businesses that are making it an impact in Fayetteville, our economy, and our overall economic health. So I'd encourage each of you to take about 5 minutes, find that link on the website as well, and nominate your favorite small local business. Thank you very much for having us. God bless.
Well, and Mayor, thank you for instituting that award. I know our local businesses really appreciate it. You can also speak with Kelly. We can get you nomination forms, but that is a wonderful way to be recognized, because we know small business drives our economy here, and we want to acknowledge that. The other thing I would also like to thank the city for doing today is the State of Community is actually going to is being recorded as we speak, and will air on faytv.net September 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. We will have Facebook posts going out, so you can relive this entire program. You can relive the moment of what you've experienced today. So I want to thank Fay TV for doing that for us, certainly. And now we're going to hear from another very important part of our community, and that is Fort Bragg. It's their 100th anniversary. We are thrilled to have them be part of our community, and we're also thrilled to have Colonel Kyle Reed be our garrison commander. He's been here before. He knows this area, and he has a real mantra of working with the community and tying us closer to Fort Bragg. So please welcome Colonel Kyle Reed.
Well, in true military fashion, we do have a few slides to talk about or to present. But first off, I want to thank everybody for the sense of community that Christine just spoke about, as well as how much of a true honor it is and privilege to be here to talk about what is going on the installation itself, but also how we impact and how we work together for not only the state of Fort Bragg, but also the community and the surrounding efforts that occur on a regular basis of the installation. So with that slide, please. I know I'm on a timeline, so I'm not going to cover this, but that's what we're going to talk about. Slide. So as you look at this slide, we know that there is the 295 extension as well as the Murchison Road extension. The Murchison Road extension has already been complete. The 295 extension is ongoing, and the real gist of that is it should be complete by about 2023, 24 time period, all the way from the southern portion of 95 all the way up to the northern portion of 95. The benefit of that is truly amazing when you look at the amount of commerce that will transpire and actually progress along that route. Because it not only helps with the security of the installation, because there for a while, 87 actually divided the installation. Well, now it is all encompassing and helps us to provide a better security network for not only the surrounding community, but also for the community on the installation itself. But it also helps with actually getting our facilities, our resources, our requirements for deployment, not only into the installation, but also out of the installation. And many of you may know that FEMA uses us as a staging ground for incidents such as just happened down in Florida. So we had about over 300 trucks, tractor-trailer trucks associated with the supply efforts and needs for that, and all of that transpired out of Simmons Army Airfield, which is on the installation. But to understand this greater, if you have concerns or questions about the impacts and the easement and actual the progress of this project, please let us know. Slide. Now, on the installation itself, over the last few years, the installation grew from about 43,000 to a little over 52,000 people. The problem is the installation hasn't really changed in dynamics of moving that amount of people on a regular basis. So all of this is aligned for that. Not only getting people on and off the installation, but also the functions and requirements associated with the installation itself. So I'll start up in the north in reference to Pope Airfield. So up here in the north, that's Pope right there. Odell Road, and we have an initiative with North Carolina Department of Transportation to actually build a new way of getting on the installation. That is still in the works, but it is going to take into account the Manchester entrance exit, and what that'll actually do is help not only get people out into the community on a easier transition period, but also help with the influx of people. Because as we know, and the counts of vehicles on the mirror account of people coming onto the installation on a daily basis, on average, All-American handles about 16,000 vehicles a day. There are about 80,000 people and 80,000 vehicles that transition through or on the installation on a daily basis. A little bit of a challenge associated with those gate guards that have to manage that. So this will help with that. On the actual main post installation, there are a few initiatives for actually handling the traffic, because there are some known points that are significant for traffic accidents, as well as just the mere volume that they handle, and this will help manage that. Now, out to the west, what you don't see is all the training area out to the western side. Well, we have another initiative with North Carolina Department of Transportation to actually provide funds associated with paving those roads, because it is a tremendous throughway for not just the military personnel, but also the civilians in the surrounding community to get from one portion of the installation to another, or say up north in the Southern Pines area down south to, or in the vicinity of Fayetteville. All of that is an initiative on Manchester, Plank, and King Road. So they actually maintain the roads themselves. We give them an easement off of that, but it helps not only the repair and state of that, but it also helps with the installation of making sure that the monies that we receive are allocated towards taking care of the facilities, which we have a significant challenge with that. Slide, please. Now, many of you may know, because you do come onto the installation on a regular basis, but we have this new system in place, and that system has 7 checks of files when your ID card or your state driver's license is checked. That is all to make sure that the community stays safe. Over the last year, we've been able to apprehend about 1,500 representatives that had either felonies or warrants for their arrest. The system is working, because it's not only taking them off of our installation and making sure they don't get on there, but it's taking them out of the surrounding community to make sure we, as a community, are safer at nature. I bring that up to you because there is a system. There is a system in place if you'd like to come on the installation as a visitor. Next slide, please, which we'll talk about that. The All-American entrance, there is a visitor center there where you can bring in your ID card, your state driver's license, your vehicle insurance, and actually get a visitor's pass that could be good for a year. Some of them are paper in nature, depending on how often you come on the installation, or it can actually be a card that will help you get on the installation on a regular basis. I bring that up to you because this is a community effort to make sure that if you do have business or regular interaction with us, please do this process to help you and help us to understand who's coming on, but also allow you greater freedom of access and coordination on the installation itself. Now, not everybody can maneuver through that process. So there is access denial waivers, and I take that into consideration. It comes to me on a regular basis for people that don't meet the necessary criteria because they have something in it derogatory in their background, and I take that into consideration whether I actually grant access or not on behalf of the senior commander, which is General Townsend. I say that to you because you may not know some of the history associated with people, and that's what that system does, and it makes sure that we are providing the proper attention to those people that may have some incidents in their past. Now, slide please. The reason and some of the topics that just came up a minute ago about the interaction with a community, and I bring that up to you because if you look at this, we have mutual supporting aid agreements. We have a lot of capability and capacity on the installation to actually help with others in the surrounding area. So right now, there are 9 of these contracts or agreements with our fire and emergency services to help out in the community in the event that they need some assistance. Because if you look down at the bottom of that slide on the right-hand side, it has all the services and capability we have on the installation because of the requirements of the installation itself. Subject matter expertise, trained and prepared to be able to execute that. As part of the surrounding community, maybe the expertise or the level of requirement isn't necessarily there because of monetary concerns. This is a great way of leveraging it as a larger community to help with the concerns associated with emergencies. Slide, please. Because this one is another one. And Chief and I yesterday spent a good portion of the day talking about sexual assault and survivors of some of those situations. The reason we have such a great interaction with one another is because we don't look at it as just an island. We look at it as a community effort, a union of emphasis to ease the transition of information between each other's capabilities as well as interaction with the community itself. We have this as well as with other surrounding communities as well to make sure that it is not just a Fort Bragg thing, it is a community event thing that, because 65% of the installation personnel on a daily basis, they live outside of the post. If you think we're not a part of you and you're not a part of us, we would be wrong. So please take that into consideration. And then the last slide I'll talk about is major installation events over the next year, okay? Some of these range from about 60,000 people coming in attendance, such as the Mid-Carolina Senior Games, to some significant events of about 4,000 to 5,000, such as this Saturday. This Saturday evening, we'll have a Neon Run fun event that MWR throws on. There's absolutely no cost. If you'd like to come run 5K, please come out to that. Our MWR will have neon bracelets, bands, headgear, all kinds of associated things that you can be spotted in the hours of limited visibility to make sure that you can make this run safely. But I bring this to you just as it is not just about us. It is about helping and building and bonding with the community at large. So if there is an event on there that you'd like to attend, please come out and participate with us as well. And then the last thing I really want to address is, much as Christine spoke about earlier, is the 100th year anniversary. Pretty significant in the times associated with Fort Bragg itself, but also the history and transition of what has expired, what has happened here on this installation. Because we went from a field artillery installation to the airborne and special operations community. I tell you that because the Army continues to evolve. Your Air Force continues to evolve. And the structure and systems that are in place here on this installation continue to evolve. All of that is said because over the next year, we will celebrate. We'll have specific events throughout the year that highlight things that have transpired, but it is not just looking at the past, it's looking to the future of how we can not only refine, incorporate the surrounding community, but also how we work together for some of these major significant events on the installation. So, slide, please. One more. And that's kind of where we are. If you would like to provide what we call shout out, but the 100-year anniversary, so next year on the 4th of July is when we will actually celebrate the birthday itself. There will be other events associated with it, but that right there is the time that we will have not only our nation's birthday, but also the celebration event for the installation itself. As part of that, if you've been to some of the Fort Bragg celebrations, we have those huge Jumbotron screens. And part of that is there will be messages from the surrounding community, from past commanders, from past command sergeant majors on the installation to show their support for the installation. If you would like to do that, please get with our PAO and they would be welcome for that celebration itself. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. And if you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to let us know. Thank you.
It's already all loose and yes, it's already. Okay. So we have our own announcement for those of you that are dying to know who is the performer that will be headlining the 4th of July celebration this coming year. It is
Trace Adkins. So through a lot of coordination, a lot of effort, I wanted to make sure that I was okay to tell that. Mr. Bolton, as well as Justin Mitchell, my deputy, have done a lot of work in preparation for this to occur. So that is one event and one significant portion of the celebration itself. But please, if you'd like to attend, don't hesitate to let us know. Thank you.
And you heard it right here. But we're delighted for this celebration. And on the more serious side, for those of you that are interested in how your companies could actually do business with the various commands out at Fort Bragg, our Military Affairs Council is putting on a monthly series of lunches to show you how to do just that. So probably my 5th shameless plug of the afternoon is to say if you're not a MAC member, please consider it, because we are doing everything we can to bring Fort Bragg and our community closer together. And on that note, I am delighted to bring up our mayor of the town of Hope Mills, Mayor Jackie Warner, who's going to tell us what's going on in her community.
Well, this is another year, and if you'll remember, I like to talk about water. So I'm going to talk about water, but I'm going to talk about a little rhyme that many of you probably heard: water, water everywhere, and all the boards did shrink. Water, water everywhere, nor any drop to drink. Hope Mills was faced with that in October. We had suddenly realized after Hurricane Matthew that we were an island. You couldn't get to us because every bridge in Hope Mills was out. You couldn't get to the shelter because you couldn't get there because there was water blocking in some way. So that what we realized as a town is that we had to have a lot of help from our friends, and we really did. I want to thank Cumberland County. I want to thank Amy Cannon and the group that continuously kept up with us and what was happening. I want to thank you, the residents of Fayetteville and other areas that contributed to help us make sure, and you don't realize how you did, but when the roads in 59 was closed and people had to bypass Hope Mills on 162, all the complaints to DOT meant they got out there and got those bridges fixed quick. So we have to thank the DOT for helping us achieve something that we didn't think was going to happen real soon. I've also got to thank some others in that we currently have a multimodal congestion plan taking place through FAMPO, trying to figure out the best ways to get around Hope Mills. DOT came in recently and trying to help us with traffic on Main Street, and they installed medians, and you know how you feel about medians. Well, we went from everybody being upset about traffic to now everybody's upset about medians. So we got to deal with that right now, but it's you know, you look at it as something new, something different. We also through the help of Fayetteville, and again, I want to appreciate the fact that we have close ties with Cumberland County and with Fayetteville administration and really with all the mayors in our community. And one thing that happened was that we have Rockfish Creek that was completely, I mean, it just looks like it's got islands in it because of all the sand and the debris that's come down from all the places that lost water. And Lake Upchurch was one, and of course all the other areas around us. It seems like it just flowed through us to get to Cape Fear River. But we've received, through their help, a Golden Leaf grant for $400,000 to clean up Rockfish Creek, which is amazing for us because we saw there was no way we could do that. We also have been very fortunate in that we do have 90 acres in Hope Mills. It is currently, I get a lot of scrutiny about it because it was a golf course. It's not a golf course. It's land now. And we're looking at what can we do with that. So we've made up a stakeholders committee and we're looking forward. We're continuing to think about what can we do in our vision because 295 has an exit that comes off right out there on Golfview Road. So there's got to be something big we can do there and something that will benefit not only Cumberland County but Hope Mills as a gateway. There's also something that's been happening lately, and that's people want to be in Hope Mills. Commissioner Keefe said to me that, Hope Mills is as large as some of the counties in North Carolina. That's what's happening. We're growing, and we're growing fast. There's over 16,000 people, and just in the term that I've been mayor since 2010, we've added almost 5,000 people. So people want to be in Hope Mills. We not only have water, lots of water, but we've been very fortunate with our partnership with PwC. They've helped us with sewer lines. They've done things for Hope Mills that have helped us with infrastructure needs, which means that people want to move to Hope Mills not just because of the opportunity to live there, but also to have businesses there. We've opened up and just had a groundbreaking. We've opened up Lowe's. It's doing very well on Main Street. We've also just did the groundbreaking for Cape Fear Primary Care out near Jack Britt High School. We have the largest solar farm in Hope Mills. Of course, it's right outside of Hope Mills, but we call it Hope Mills. In this east side of Louisiana. So what's happened is we did the ribbon cutting for that, and that brought a lot of attention to the fact that other resources are available in Hope Mills. Schools, we got the best schools in the county, bar none. We have, right now, one of our football teams is 5-0. That's Southview Tigers. They're the hometown team, but we've now claimed Jack Britt and Grays Creek, too, and they're doing very well also, not only academically, but athletically. We also are very fortunate. We have the Teacher of the Year in Hope Mills. Leslie Seal, she's a teacher at Rockfish Elementary School. Very proud to say she's right across from my office. I can go out any day I want to and go over and visit Rockfish Elementary School. We're very fortunate that schools are everywhere along with churches everywhere in Hope Mills. A unique opportunity for family, small town feeling, and that's what makes Hope Mills special. We also are special in our crime rate is very low. We've got a super police force in Hope Mills, and again, we would not know what to do without them and our fire department when things like Hurricane Matthew came along and they risked life and limb in order to rescue people such as those residents at Ark Rest Home who were completely waist deep or better. Didn't make Facebook like some of the things that happened in the most recent hurricane, but in Hope Mills we had an event very similar where we had staff leaving because they thought they were going to die and drown, and our Hope Mills police and fire went in to take care of them. So we've had a very fortunate year. Yes, right now, as I speak, they're pouring the concrete in the last labyrinth of Hope Mills Dam. So, we have planned Heroes Homecoming, several events down at the lake. Just know Heroes Homecoming is very important to us. We're involved with the whole community with that, but for Hope Mills, it's extremely special because we have a lot of veterans, a lot of Vietnam veterans there. And so we're hoping to tie all these things together, have water in the lake sometime before Election Day. And I will continue to say, we're Hope Mills strong, Hope Mills proud, and I'm still proud to be mayor of Hope Mills, and hopefully we will have water everywhere, but it'll be down there in that Hope Mills lake that is really and truly going to come back soon. Thank you.
Jackie, you're just amazing cheerleader for your community. I love your passion. And now we're going to hear, Spring Lake has had, as you know, a number of changes. And we are so privileged to have with us Alderwoman Dency Lucas from the town of Spring Lake to talk about some exciting things that are going on and some interesting changes. And we're just delighted to have her with us today. Dency?
Good afternoon. Spring Lake is bar none the best place to live, play, and worship. Sorry, Jackie. We have had some very significant changes in the past few weeks. Chris Ray, who is our mayor, will not be running for mayor again. The Army has decided that they need his services, so he's spending more time there than here, but he's still with us. And Tad Davis, who was our town manager, was called to the Department of Defense to, let me make sure I read this correctly, to be the Deputy Secretary of Defense for Installations and Environment. And Tad did a wonderful job for us. He will do a wonderful job for the Department of Defense, as he has done in the past. He left us on September the 5th. Our town is open for business, and we continue to experience great growth. As you know, we still have some construction going on in Spring Lake. And what we've done with Department of Defense, Department of Transportation, State Department of Transportation, is to make sure that those businesses in Spring Lake remain open, that we have access to them, and that the flow of traffic to them continues so that they can stay in business. And for the most part, that has worked very well for us. We're recruiting businesses. We're getting businesses in all the time. The great Marriott Hotel that opened last year, I'm sure Tad talked about that last year, is award-winning already. Their occupancy rate, I won't tell you what it is, but it has been astounding and great throughout the time that it has been open. We do continue to coordinate and collaborate with Fort Bragg, our partner, because many people in Spring Lake are there because of the military. We do the Veterans Recognition, we do Memorial Day recognition. We were going to do the 9/11 recognition, but because of the potential for the storm, we did not do that this year. We canceled our 5K run this year, but we will have it next year. We had a Dr. Seuss parade back in the spring, and it was so well attended that we will have that again, and we know that we will have more than, I think, 4,000 or 5,000 people, I think it was, this past year. And our businesses will be well prepared for that. That would also draw people to us. The Carvers Creek Park, the state park, continues to be a great draw for us, and we are happy to have it there with us. You know, we're landlocked, so we have to be very creative in terms of what we do to get people into our communities. We have to make sure that people know that we are as invested in our community as they would be if they were to invest in our community as well. We work on our Main Street. We continue to work on our Main Street to make sure we have sidewalks, and we're going to beautify it a little bit so that people will be interested in locating businesses there, and then therefore you guys will be interested in coming there to partake in what the businesses have to offer. We don't have our grocery store yet other than Walmart. We still have Walmart. We'll always have Walmart. But we hope by the end of the year to have a grocery store there. I won't name it because I'm sure it's been named before, and I don't want to jeopardize that in any way or to make it not happen in any way. The catalyst, again, for our economic growth stems from our investment in our infrastructure, not just the roads, but beautifying the area, developing the lands that are around there, and making sure that it is attractive in more ways than one. We want to send a message that before you can invest, we have, like I said, invested in ourselves. We are focused on quality of life projects for the future to include splash pads, resurfacing our basketball courts, our tennis courts, and trying to develop additional parks for our kids, and also putting in those parks things that older people also can participate in, exercise equipment on the outside, for example. Our senior program is growing and expanding because there's lots of us in Spring Lake that are in need of senior services. We continue to lay the groundwork as a small town with an eye to the future. We'd want to develop our brand as an innovative tech hub for our county and our region, and to draw more defense contractors. We have a couple with us already in Spring Lake. Like I said, Spring Lake is the best place to live, play, work, and worship. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we have definitely kept you in suspense. I didn't know that our presentation today was going to also include an announcement. That's fantastic. So another relative newcomer to our area, like myself, is Robert Van Giens. He is with the Fayetteville Cumberland Economic Development Corporation, and let me tell you, we are lucky to have this guy. I've sat in some meetings with him, and the conversation I can follow for maybe the first minute or so, and then he gets into his tech speak, and he's a self-confessed techno geek.
Techno geek is nicer than dork. Yeah.
Techno geek. But this man has amazing abilities that he's bringing to our community to help attract and support the businesses that are already here. So pleased to introduce Robert Van Giens.
Well, I know that I'm near the end, so I will keep it close to my 7 minutes. 7 minutes is a tough time, though, because it's too long to talk about one thing and not enough time to talk about everything. So that said, I'm available for birthday parties, bar mitzvahs, Rotary meetings, whatever you need. I'd love to. Sadly, I am all immersed personally in what I do every day, and I'm happy to have that, but happy to talk more about it. Just a little bit about us. If you're not familiar, almost 2 years ago, we were stood up, and we are a true independent nonprofit, largely funded by the county and the city with a small amount of private sector dollars and some grant dollars going in. We have a board that is appointed by the city, the county, and 2 people from the private sector. We also, I have a number of board members here. I've got our treasurer, Tim Richardson, Chairman Adams, Councilwoman Kathy Jensen. We also have some of our ex officio members here, Dr. Larry Keene, Amy Cannon, and City Manager Doug Hewitt. So thank you guys for your service. If I miss anyone, I apologize. But quite simply, our job is to attract new jobs and employment opportunities for our citizens and to grow the companies that we have here. I just want to say personally, and I believe that officially this is the end of my honeymoon period after this speech because it's been 8 months, and this is a great way to cap that off. But my family and I, we've never been more welcomed by a community in all of my years of service in local government. And professionally, you need to know that to the chairman and the mayor's points, while there are disagreements, when it comes to economic development, there has been unanimous support for everything that we've tried to do. Get it done, close the deal, and bring us the next one has been the overwhelming response. So we have baseball coming downtown. I wanted to talk about baseball. You didn't know this, but Babe Ruth actually spoke about economic development. Baseball is a team sport, and so is economic development. And if it says there, yeah. But seriously, your team is playing well together. The best economic developer you will find is never more than 5 to 6% of the deal. We don't own land, we don't control incentives, but the county and the city, our utility providers, FTCC, FSU, Methodist, all of our people at Bragg and surrounding Bragg and the organizations have been great to work with. And these are just the people that I've touched on projects. They're not our partners in the community. They are the people we have actually worked with on some of these projects. 2026, the Chamber here today, the TDA, the CVB, the Arts Council, our state delegation. And I appreciate all of their support, and especially I want to point out John Zoka. We were actually able to put in a bill that changed North Carolina's competitiveness for large distribution projects. You want to talk about people standing up and taking notice of your community, and all the activity we're seeing now is following from what's out there and what we're doing well. Working with the federal delegation, the Commerce, our partners around the region here. And before you get there on the bottom, and 7,500 of you and your fellow citizens, when we needed to prove to a company that we had the workforce that they needed, 3,000 people responded in 49 hours. And then over the next 2 weeks, another 4,500 more. No other city in the Carolinas, I've talked about it, feel confident they can do that. We have the people that are willing to work and willing to be there. But what does it take to win? It does take a good business climate. I know that we're working on making our permitting. I could tell you 2 stories if I had time about companies that both in the city and the county were blown away by how quick we were able to react on permitting and regulatory side of things. We need more product. We need better product. We don't need dirt. We need sites that are ready to go. I'm going to keep moving. Quality of life. Yes, it matters. Sweat the details. It is not the deciding factor, but it is a deciding factor to get you eliminated from being the chosen place. This is a game of last man standing. Highway accessibility, logistics, market access, but the number one thing
something that we actually have in abundance. That 7,500 number showed you is the availability and affordability of skilled labor. That is now the #1 criteria for companies looking for a new location, and that's up 10% in just the previous year. But when it comes to economic development, there is no second place. I took French at Catawba, just enough to get out. I think this is a rough translation of what he said. It's not. It's completely and totally not. But I wanted to try to work at a local tie there. But it is true. The NASCAR adage is correct. Second place is the first loser. So what's our marketing message? And I'll show you a little bit of it here briefly. We are better. We are better than our competition. We are better than the other places you're considering. We're more affordable. We have all the assets you need. But internally, this is probably the most important thing if you could take away. We are better than you think. And by you, I mean this community. I've said it a few times. The only thing I can say negative about this community is we have low self-esteem. I was at FSU today. We're bringing together a regional consortium in advanced research for healthcare matters and new emerging health technologies. That's happening here, patents and grants and cutting-edge treatments for today's diseases. We have to believe that that's us every day, and that's our message going forward. We need our swagger, and we do have great stories to tell, and we need your help telling them. We're #1. We're #1. We're number 1 through 10. We're not the biggest city in North Carolina, but I believe we're the best. We're the best community. There are 15 states without a city the size of Fayetteville. We are the 10th busiest airport in the Carolinas, moving up. We're the 6th most populous city in the Carolinas, the #1 metro in the southeastern NC. Fun stat, we're the 2nd largest city, 12,000 miles on my car since I got here. In the state. We're the #1 military installation by population in the world. And we're the #1 most affordable large metro for housing. I didn't write that right. And this last one is the most important. We are the youngest workforce in the Carolinas, by in some cases up to 16 years. 6 more than Charleston, 8 more than Charlotte. This is the powerful thing when we're talking about the aging of workforces. These are the numbers we're working to deliver. An MSA of over 500,000 people, 7,000 plus or minus service members coming out each year. But more importantly, not more importantly, as importantly, and sometimes lost, I think, are the 1,000 military spouses and the thousands of retirees that we have here. Retirees, those that have served, and that's an incredible workforce. We have lower than average turnover rates. We've got a better workforce than you do, and they're loyal to this community, which is why we actually are more affordable. The chart on the right, you don't have to see it all, but what you see as the green is every one of those communities being more expensive for the same jobs than they are here in this community. So not only do we have the skilled people, they're more affordable here. Yep, wrong way, Robert. There we go. Some things we're working on heavily. We don't have enough product. That's me saying I'm at my time, so I'm going to move quick. We do have a vibrant community. Arts, culture, what we're doing in the downtown. We are a great location to do business. What's going on right now? We are actively seeking sites for development. We have more than 1,000 acres we've been working to get shovel ready. 40% of that is already in heavy negotiations on property. I need spaces. I need spaces for 1 million square feet, for 4 million square feet, for international companies. So we're going to be working heavily on that. We want to do more in and around with our friends at Bragg. We're aggressively, and I mean that with electronically, social media, and flat out getting in front of people and grabbing a hold of them, marketing this community. We've had some good announcements, e-clerks, CACI, K3, all announced projects creating a couple hundred jobs. Pending, the mayor talked about one today. We have projects right now, and I am pessimistically optimistic or an optimistic pessimist. I'm not sure which. Hope for the best, expect the worst. I wouldn't tell you about these 3 if I didn't think they were real. One we talked about today. We have 2 projects in addition to that are close. There would be 750 full-time jobs and over $50 million investment. And this is on the ground now. People that have been here and are coming with real projects that they are making final considerations for. Over $2 billion worth of potential investment and well more than 2,500 jobs. So the word is getting out about what we have here. People are taking us seriously. People are showing up. We do have an incredible life in balance, which is, for me, affordability, accessibility, and opportunity. You can afford to have a home and a good quality of life. You've got the ability to access the world either through airports, our great airport here or in Raleigh, and you have diversity in culture and opportunity, things that happen here, this great facility being one example. In closing, though, it does take a team. As I said before, the best of me, of my field, are 6%. of making a community move forward. And that's probably an exaggeration because we like to think a lot of ourselves. But that's my social network. That's my professional network map. Everyone in this room has relationships with companies, with opportunity. We do business around the world here, but we need to bring them back, and we need to make that connection. And I hope that you'll be willing to be part of that. That is one thing we're going to be focusing on in the next few months, is taking those people who do business around the world that are here, and those people from around the world that come through here, and trying to network and connect to that. Thank you again for letting me be part of your team. I'm always available for questions, conversations. Like I said, I'm really dull. I've got economic development and 2 kids, and that's about it, and a beautiful wife. So thank you.
Well, I hope everyone is going to leave this room today feeling pumped up about what we have going on in this community, because we have the leadership in place to do it. We have the business community supporting what they're doing. And if that gives you cause to celebrate, please hold off until Friday, December 8th for our Martinis and Mistletoe holiday party, which is a competition for the best martini in Fayetteville. So stay tuned for information on that. I'm sure you'll have a great time with us. But again, thank you to all of our speakers today. You really do give us optimism. You have the right amount of realism thrown in there too, but I think we have a lot to look forward to in this community, and I thank you all for joining us today and hearing all about it. Thank you.